Rack of lamb is one of my favourite cuts, and for this recipe I'm using the Connemara Hill rack of lamb. So what I've done, a really quick marinade. I'm going to go through it with you in a moment, but I want to show you a lovely quick, it's like a tomato and butter bean stew. So in the saucepan we're going to put some of the Simply Better extra virgin olive oil. We're going to soften about one small onion, which I have here. So that's it there, just finely chopped. You can slice it, it can be red onion, whatever. We're going to crush 2 cloves of garlic into that. So just literally using the garlic crusher, scrape it down. And of course garlic, rosemary, all those lovely herbs and flavours work really well with lamb. So we'll talk about the lamb in a minute. I just want to heat my griddle pan. Make sure I have it switched on, which I do. So two cloves of garlic I have here. We're going to soften this so we are in the olive oil. So that's what you want to hear. That nice sizzle. Just to soften that there. And we're going to start the cooking process for the sauce. It's a very simple, quick sauce that works really well with the lamb, or you could serve it with the Simply Better corn-fed chicken, which I really like. Okay, for our lamb, this is the rack of lamb, so I want to show it to you here. So it's Board Bia quality assured. This is the Connemara Hill lamb, so it's a black-based mountain lamb, so it is, or hill lamb they call it, and it's fed on some herbs and some herbs and different kind of ingredients on the mountain. It's full of flavour, it's soft, it's delicious, and for me, we love it, so we do. So it's a group of about 20 farmers, so they feed of herbs and different things like that, but that really gives the meat some beautiful flavour. So all I've done with this is just literally drizzle it with a little bit of rapeseed oil or olive oil you can use, and then what I've done in that is a little bit of rosemary, and I've used these herbs here, herbs de Provence. So in that we have, if you look at the ingredients, so you have some thyme, oregano, rosemary and savoury. So that works really well, and just a splash of balsamic. Okay, back onto my sauce, because I don't want the onions to burn. We're going to put a little bit of this just to give some spice. So this is the harissa spice, which is a little bit of chilli in there, which will give a lovely bit of a kick to the sauce. And we're going to use these lovely, really gorgeous San Marzano tomatoes. So I'm going to put this in here, the full can. Give it a stir. And we're just going to let that just cook away there. So we're going to bring it to the boil. So the San Marzano tomatoes, they're reckoned to be one of the best tomatoes. They're from Italy. Puglia is the area where they're produced and grown. And it must be really the intensity of the Italian sun, but also the volcanic soil which it is growing there. So we're just going to let that just simmer away there. With this sauce that I'm making here, Yvonne, you can make this ahead, and it's great just for pasta. So you can put in some smoked bacon, you can put in some chili. I've used the harissa spice. So it's actually a very quick sauce to actually cook out, so it is. Okay, cooking our lamb, a few tips for you. So this is the rack of lamb, so it comes, I've already cut it into little cutlets like this. I'll just show you. And we're just going to literally grill this, so we are. So with the lamb, we're going to literally just heat the griddle pan, okay? And I've cut it into small little kind of cutlets. Now, good hot pan, and we're going to just cook that there, just for a few minutes. It cooks really quickly, so it does. And it's one of my favourites, so it is, because it's really tender, and this is perfect for a barbecue. So with this marinade, look at this marinade here, we don't want to waste this. So what I need to do now is just season it with a little bit of salt and pepper. So a few tips for you. With the lamb, bring it to room temperature, so you can marinate it in the fridge for an hour or two. That's absolutely fine. Just a pinch of salt and then some black pepper. And it doesn't take long to cook these. This is a great little recipe for under the grill or on a barbecue. It really is a tender, it's the most succulent tender cut of lamb. So that's my sauce cooking up nicely. If you find it's reduced a little bit too much, I need to put in some tomato puree, and I need to put in a little bit of stock. So I'm just using some a light brown chicken stock, or you can use a beef stock into this, just a small amount. So I'm using the double concentrated tomato puree in this, so roughly about a heaped teaspoonful there, and then we need to stir this through. Now every so often I just keep looking at the lamb we'll pour over the marinade in a minute. Just turn back over the heat. So just to recap, we have 1 small onion which is diced, a couple of cloves of garlic, 1 of the cans of tomatoes, and they have the PGI status, the whole plum San Marzano tomatoes. We're going to literally turn over our lovely little cutlets. Now I like my lamb pink, and I'm going to show you the tip of testing how your lamb is cooked. With this marinade, you don't waste it, so we're just going to literally drizzle this just over, if you can see this here, just over the lamb, and we're going to put those lovely herbs there. So you're wasting nothing. That's the beautiful thing about this. So I'm reducing my sauce. We need to just put a little bit of salt in here, some black pepper, and then we're going to put in our white beans. And the white beans I'm using is just a can of white beans. Very, very simple. They're already cooked, so they are. And these are like a butter bean. I love this in the soup, but it's really nice in this sauce. So I'll put the full can in there. Forgot to say that I just rinsed them just through a sieve. I always do that. A splash of the balsamic vinegar, and this is the PGI vinegar. So that's the logo there, Protected Geographical Indication from Modena, or Modena. So it's a really lovely 3-year-old balsamic. So I got to meet this producer for this balsamic, and it's one of my favourite vinegars, even in salad dressings, in marinades. I have a little bit over the lamb or in the marinade, which works really well. And this marinade actually could work really well with chicken breast, pork chops, you know, that kind of thing will work really, really well. So if you just look at the sauce, everyone, we just have our tomato in there with a little bit of harissa spice. We're just literally warming through the beans, and then we're going to finish that with a little bit of basil. So we'll just focus on our meat now. Turn it over. It's a super quick recipe, this. Beginning to caramelize, which is what I want. And we're going to test when our meat is cooked. So I said I like it pink. So roughly about 2 to 3 minutes either side. And that really depends on the thickness that you've cut the cutlets from the rack of the Connemara Hill lamb. So if you just come in close, and we'll just press it there. So that's a lovely kind of soft and spongy. So I want to show you a really good tip. I'll just wipe my hands. So if you like your meat rare, that's lovely and soft there. That first, so you get your thumb and your index finger pressed underneath your thumb. Then your next finger is medium. So that's what I'm looking for, medium, medium rare. Your next finger is medium well. It's beginning to firm up, and then well done. So I'll just go through that really, really quickly. I'm going to switch the pan off. So rare, medium, medium well, and well done. We flip over this. Oh, the smell of this, it really is. And it's a very lean cut, this actually, so it is. Okay, sauce needs to be finished. We've seasoned it up. That's looking nice. A little bit of fresh basil. So as you know from my videos, we always have lovely fresh basil here. These little plants are great. And we're just going to literally chop this and serve this up. Now, so just gather this all up. So a little bit of fresh basil. Just cut it into tiny little kind of strips like that. And then that's going to go into our sauce. So that's what we have there. It's called a chiffonade. Normally what you do is you put the basil in straight away, because if you leave it there on the board, I'm afraid what's going to happen is that it is going to it will just go black and it will bruise. So it will. So that's more or less ready. So just to recap, I used the harissa spice in the sauce, so that's a really nice, it's a nice bit of a kick. And this is produced from an Irish company in Athlone called Oco. They're excellent. They really are excellent. Now, if you want it, what works really well with lamb is some lemon. You could grate some lemon over it if you want to for the marinade. I put in the harissa spice, and this sauce, if you look at it now, it's nice. It's not too runny. So I only put a little splash of the stock in, and you don't want it kind of too runny or too thick. So you don't want it gloopy and otherwise. So you've cooked out the onion, you've cooked out the garlic, and now we're ready to serve up. This is definitely one of the quickest recipes I think I've ever cooked. So we just get our lovely butter beans, and you can see the lovely texture there. So for the plate. I'm a big fan of all those haricot beans, cannellini beans. We really like them even in soups, in mince. And then we just literally spoon this around the plate. So they give great texture. And they're full of goodness. So that sauce there, even with pasta, is so delicious. So for this recipe, we're going to serve 3 of these lovely little lamb cutlets. So we just arrange them like that. And you know, when we cook these in the house, the twins love grabbing them by the little bone and just enjoying them, because they're so full of flavour. So they are. So there's a lovely one there. I'm just going to arrange this here. And a little bit interesting with this recipe is what we're going to put is we're going to put some of this lovely, it's an salad cheese, okay, and it's from East Cork, so it is. So it's goat's milk, but it's kind of like a feta style, which is interesting. So it has this kind of crumbly texture, lovely in salads. So you can see that there, slightly salty, not too strong, and we're just going to literally arrange this. And you know, this will kind of soften and just warm through. It won't really melt, but it will keep its shape. And we'll just literally sprinkle this around there. Now, the last thing, just give your hands a little wipe. A little bit of flat leaf parsley, this is optional. We're just going to literally arrange this just around just the plate. And that's it done. A little splash of some olive oil. And how colourful does that look? I think the green lifts it, and that's the flat leaf parsley I'm using, and just a tiny little drizzle of some olive oil there. And there you go. So that's the Connemara rack of lamb. So I've cut them into cutlets, or we can call them lollipops. And they're the savoury types, but done with that lovely tomato and butter bean stew, and then that lovely goat cheese gives lovely acidity, creaminess to it. So I hope you try this recipe. With this you could serve a salad, but I think it's perfect on its own. So enjoy this recipe and happy cooking, and thank you so much.